Adrian Carton de Wiart was born on May 5, 1880, in Brussels, Belgium, into a family steeped in tradition, service, and resilience. From an early age, he displayed a unique combination of fearlessness, curiosity, and stubborn determination that set him apart from other children. The family estate was large, with sprawling gardens and hidden corners perfect for exploration. Young Adrian was rarely still, climbing trees, racing across fields, or playing elaborate games of strategy with friends. He possessed a boundless energy and a fascination with challenge, risk, and testing limits. Even as a boy, he demonstrated a stubborn streak that would define his life. Minor injuries or falls did not deter him. Instead, he would get up, laugh, and continue with greater determination. Neighbors often remarked, "That boy, he is impossible to stop." School introduced Adrian to the structure of discipline, but he never lost his adventurous spirit. He excelled in physical activities, fencing, and anything that demanded courage and resilience. Books fascinated him as well, particularly biographies of soldiers, explorers, and adventurers who had faced adversity with courage. The seeds of a warrior spirit were already forming. Adrian was not just interested in adventure for fun, he felt an innate calling to challenge himself, to push beyond limits, and to protect those weaker than himself. By the time he was a teenager, the path forward became clear. The world was vast, uncertain, and dangerous, and Adrian knew he would meet it head-on, no matter the cost. This chapter marks the beginning of a life that would become legendary, a life of courage, extraordinary resilience, and undying determination. The boy who played in the gardens of Brussels would one day walk through the fiercest battlefields of the 20th century, leaving an indelible mark on history. As Adrian grew into adolescence, his restless energy and indomitable spirit naturally led him toward a life of discipline, service, and challenge. In his late teens, he joined a military academy, eager to shape his courage and intelligence into the tools of a soldier. Life at the academy was grueling. Long drills, early mornings, and relentless physical training tested every cadet. For many, it was a place of strict obedience and fear. For Adrian, it was a playground for his determination. He thrived on challenges that broke others, pushing himself to extremes. His instructors were both amazed and bewildered. He was a cadet who would refuse to quit even when injured or exhausted. His peers often watched in awe as Adrian performed feats that seemed impossible. Climbing walls, running long distances in full gear, mastering fencing and marksmanship with relentless focus. Beyond the physical, Adrian excelled in strategy and leadership. He studied military history, tactics, and battle formations with an analytical mind unusual for his age. While others memorized facts, he visualized the battlefield, imagining every possible maneuver and outcome. He wrote in his personal journal, "Discipline is the path, courage is the guide, and stubbornness is the shield. Without these, a soldier is nothing." By the time he graduated, Adrian Carton de Wiart had transformed from a fearless boy into a resolute, tactical, and disciplined young officer. His path was clear. He would serve in wars that tested not only skill and strategy, but courage, resilience, and unyielding determination. Illustrates the forging of the soldier, the shaping of a young man whose body, mind, and spirit would later endure the most extreme conditions of the 20th century's battlefields. Adrian's early military career soon plunged him into the realities of combat. He was deployed to the Second Boer War, a conflict that tested the resolve of every soldier who dared set foot on its scorched plains. Here, the young officer discovered that war was far more brutal, unpredictable, and demanding than any drill or academy could simulate. The fields of South Africa were a mixture of blistering sun, dust, and smoke. Guerrilla tactics challenged conventional strategies, and soldiers faced ambushes, hidden sharpshooters, and the constant threat of disease. Adrian thrived in this chaos. Where others hesitated, he acted decisively. Where others faltered, he pushed forward. It was here that his fearlessness and resilience became legendary. In one notable incident, he sustained a severe injury to his hand, but refused evacuation. He continued to lead his unit in a firefight, inspiring his men with an unshakable calm and courage. Fellow officers later remarked, "He moves through danger as if it fears him, yet he fears nothing." Adrian's tactical mind matured quickly. He began experimenting with strategies on the field, using cover and terrain to outmaneuver larger enemy forces. His understanding of leadership deepened. He led not by command, alone, but by example, courage, and unwavering determination. Even at this early stage, his journal revealed his mindset. A man may be wounded, bloodied, or tired, but to falter is to betray those who follow you. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Chapter 3 marks the first real test of Adrian Carton de Wiart's mettle. From a disciplined academy cadet to a soldier tested in fire and blood, he began building the legend that would follow him through the First World War, the Second World War, and beyond. The outbreak of World War I marked a new chapter in Adrian Carton de Wiart's life. Europe plunged into a conflict of unprecedented scale, and Adrian, now a young officer in the British Army, faced the full horror of modern warfare. The Western Front was a landscape of mud, barbed wire, and relentless artillery. Trenches stretched for miles, filled with the stench of sweat, blood, and fear. Soldiers endured endless days of waiting, punctuated by the sudden roar of shells and the cries of men. Adrian's fearless nature and unyielding spirit quickly earned him distinction. He led charges across no man's land, rallied men under heavy fire, and refused to be sidelined by injuries. In one campaign, he suffered multiple wounds, including a shattered hand, yet returned to the front lines as soon as he could. His resilience was astonishing. Fellow soldiers recalled, "We've seen men break in this war, but not Carton de Wiart. He stands where others fall, fights where others flee." During these years, Adrian also developed a reputation for sheer audacity and strategic thinking. He understood that courage alone was not enough. Survival and victory required foresight, quick adaptation, and bold action. He would often move ahead of his unit to scout enemy positions, exposing himself to extreme danger, but always returning with vital intelligence. In letters to his family, he wrote, "War does not forgive weakness. Every man must find the fire within to endure, to protect, and to prevail. I will not falter, no matter the cost." Chapter 4 highlights the early crucible of heroism and resilience. Adrian Carton de Wiart's body bore the scars of battle, but his spirit remained unbroken, a hallmark of the man who would later become one of the most remarkable soldiers of both world wars. As the First World War raged on, Adrian Carton de Wiart's courage, resilience, and sheer determination began to set him apart as a soldier unlike any other. Every campaign tested him, every wound challenged him, yet he refused to yield. His reputation spread among both allies and adversaries. Tales circulated of the officer who walked through gunfire without hesitation, rallied men who were about to break, and executed daring maneuvers that inspired awe. He was awarded multiple decorations for valor, including the Victoria Cross, Britain's highest military honor for his extraordinary gallantry. Despite his growing fame, Adrian remained intensely focused on his men. He led from the front, sharing their hardships, enduring the same mud, cold, and fire, always exemplifying fearless leadership and humanity. One account described him during a particularly fierce engagement. Under heavy machine gun fire, Adrian personally organized a counterattack, ensuring his men could advance safely while he exposed himself to extreme danger. Even after receiving life-threatening injuries, he refused evacuation, continuing to lead until the objective was secured. In his personal reflections, he wrote, "Valor is not a choice, it is a necessity. To hesitate is to betray the trust of those who follow. To falter is to lose the war within yourself," captures the transformation of Adrian from a fearless young officer into a legendary war hero. His actions on the battlefield demonstrated not only courage but strategic brilliance, resilience, and a relentless drive that would define his extraordinary life. The boy from Brussels had grown into a man who would face wars, wounds, and challenges no ordinary soldier could survive, leaving a legacy that would echo through the decades. The scars Adrian carried were not just physical, they were proof of a life lived in the crucible of battle. Multiple injuries, including the loss of an eye and a hand, could have ended the career of any soldier, but Adrian Carton de Wiart refused to be broken. Each wound became a testament to his unyielding determination and resilience. Even after surgeries and recoveries, he returned to the front lines, often against medical advice, driven by a sense of duty and an unshakable belief in leading from the front. Fellow soldiers were inspired by his indomitable courage, calling him a man too stubborn for death itself. Adrian's bravery was matched by his tactical insight. He adapted to new battle conditions, led offensive operations, and organized defenses with remarkable skill, turning near-impossible situations into victories. In his journal, he reflected, "Wounds are mere reminders that one has lived fully. Courage is not the absence of pain, but the mastery of it. Every scar is a lesson, every hardship a step toward strength." This chapter emphasizes the resilience, tactical genius, and sheer courage that defined Adrian's military career. By now, he was no longer just a soldier. He had become a symbol of bravery, determination, and relentless perseverance. The man who had once run through the gardens of Brussels now walked battlefields scarred by war, a living legend whose spirit could not be broken by fire, steel, or adversity. By the end of the First World War, Adrian Carton de Wiart had become a soldier of legend. His fearless actions, extraordinary resilience, and leadership under fire had earned him recognition, respect, and admiration from comrades and superiors alike. He had survived wounds that would have ended most careers: a head injury, the loss of an eye, and a severely damaged hand. Yet Adrian continued to inspire and lead, proving that courage and determination could surpass even the harshest physical limitations. But war had also taught him the value of strategy, foresight, and collaboration. He had learned that victory was not merely about bravery, but about understanding the battlefield, knowing one's men, and making split-second decisions that could save lives and turn the tide. Adrian's experiences shaped his philosophy. A soldier may fall, a wound may bleed, yet the spirit endures. Leadership is not about commanding, it is about enduring, inspiring, and guiding. During this time, he also began mentoring younger soldiers, passing on the lessons he had learned in combat. His guidance, combined with his example of unflinching courage, made him a revered figure among the troops. highlights the transformation of Adrian from a fearless young officer into a seasoned veteran, a man whose experiences in battle forged him into one of the most extraordinary soldiers of the 20th century. The boy from Brussels had survived battles, injuries, and unimaginable adversity. Now he stood as an icon of courage and leadership. World War II brought Adrian Carton de Wiart back into the heart of battle. Despite being older and carrying the scars of previous wars, his spirit remained unbroken, fierce, and determined. He returned to service, now a veteran whose experience and courage were unmatched. The theaters of war were vast and brutal. Adrian's missions took him across Europe and North Africa, where he led troops through perilous operations, coordinated attacks, and inspired soldiers facing overwhelming odds. His legendary fearlessness often placed him at the front lines, personally observing enemy positions and guiding assaults. During one operation, despite being shot multiple times and wounded by shrapnel, he refused evacuation. His men rallied around him, inspired by his presence and unwavering determination. Even in the most desperate situations, Adrian's calm and strategic mind allowed him to turn near defeat into tactical victories. He reflected in his wartime journal, "Age and scars may slow the body, but they sharpen the mind. A soldier must lead, endure, and act with courage, for hesitation is death's ally." Demonstrates that Adrian Carton de Wiart's courage transcended time, age, and injuries. He remained a beacon of leadership and resilience, proving that true warriors are defined not just by victories, but by their relentless spirit and refusal to yield. From the boy in Brussels to the veteran of 2 world wars, Adrian had become a living symbol of indomitable courage and heroism. Even the greatest soldiers face moments when fate tests their endurance and spirit. For Adrian Carton de Wiart, World War II was no exception. Multiple wounds, harsh conditions, and relentless campaigns pushed him to the limits of human endurance. During a critical mission in North Africa, he was severely injured when his unit came under intense enemy fire. Despite excruciating pain and life-threatening injuries, Adrian refused to surrender to circumstance. He insisted on returning to duty as soon as possible, embodying his own mantra, "A soldier does not bow to adversity, he rises above it." His courage inspired those around him. Comrades recalled, "He walked through pain as if it were invisible, focusing only on the mission and the men beside him." Even in the confines of field hospitals, his mind never rested. Adrian studied enemy movements, advised younger officers, and planned operations with the precision of a seasoned strategist. His actions saved countless lives, and his presence gave soldiers confidence in the most desperate moments. In his journal, he wrote, "In battle, wounds are inevitable, but surrender is optional. Courage is measured not by the absence of suffering, but by the will to endure and prevail." Highlights the immense physical and mental trials Adrian faced, showing that his legendary bravery was matched by unparalleled resilience, leadership, and an unshakable commitment to duty. The veteran who had survived 2 world wars had become a living embodiment of courage, endurance, and the human spirit. The guns finally fell silent. The world, scarred by conflict, began to heal, but Adrian Carton de Wiart's legend endured. Across decades and continents, his courage, resilience, and determination left an indelible mark on history. Adrian's life had been defined by extraordinary trials, relentless battles, and near impossible survival. He had survived 2 world wars, multiple life-threatening injuries, and countless dangers that would have claimed any ordinary man. Yet he emerged not only alive, but as a symbol of indomitable spirit, leadership, and heroism. His story inspired generations of soldiers, historians, and civilians alike. Military academies studied his tactics, leadership under fire, and ability to endure adversity. He became the embodiment of the principle that true courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. In his own words, a soldier's life is measured by the courage he shows, the men he leads, and the battles he survives. Wounds fade, victories endure, and spirit remains. Celebrates the legacy of Adrian Carton de Wiart, a man whose life was extraordinary in every sense. From a fearless boy in Brussels to a decorated veteran of 2 world wars, he proved that human spirit, courage, and resilience can conquer even the harshest trials. The final chapter of his story is not the end, but a lasting testament, a life lived fully, a warrior's courage immortalized, and a legend whose story will continue to inspire for generations to come.